Do you know where my original 1980 Han Solo is?
How the hell am I supposed to know where one action figure from your Harrison Ford shrine is?
Oh shit.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Open up my eyes! I never misspelled anything! Not once, not one time!
Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, starring Angelina Jolie, directed by Simon West. The greatest film ever made. Welcome to my Hilariocity review of Lara Croft Tomb Raider, which is my biggest guilty pleasure movie of all time. This movie is dumb, it's stupid, I'm well aware, it's not good, but my God do I love it. I love everything about this movie. I've watched this movie 3 times in the past year. I'm serious. I'm actually slightly ashamed to say that. Guys, Hilariocities to me can be different things. It can be a movie that's such an atrocity it's hilarious, so bad that it's good. Or maybe it's just so bad that it's hilarious that it was even made, like say Battlefield Earth. But there is that rare film that you fully recognize is a terrible movie, but you don't care, and that for me is Lara Croft Tomb Raider. So let's talk about this movie. Why is it so special to me? Well, it came out at the perfect time for me, the year 2001. I was exactly 13 years old. This movie was made for me. I grew up playing the Lara Croft games. I loved a lot of these games, and I've loved watching the games mature into the games they are today. At the time of this movie's release, it was the highest grossing female-driven action film of all time. And as far as video game adaptations go, this is by far my favorite of all of them. I mean, there isn't really that much competition. Now, I feel the need to reiterate this before I start talking about the movie. Again, I know this is not a good movie, but my God, I don't give a shit. And you know who actually agreed with me? That would be Mr. Roger Ebert. Check out this quote from him. Did I enjoy the movie? Yes. Is it up there with the Indiana Jones pictures? No. But did I grin with delight at the absurdity of it all? You betcha. Ebert, you understand. You understand me! Angelina Jolie was the perfect choice to play Lara Croft. There is no better choice in my mind. I can't imagine another person perfectly embodying this character as she did. Not only does she look like her, but she just got the feel of it all down. The sexiness, the fun, the adventure. What I love about her character is that she's always excited. She never appears annoyed or angry. She's always having fun on her incredibly over-the-top adventures that make no sense. Yeah, this movie makes no sense. I just watched it. I took a lot of notes. It doesn't make sense. This movie's it's really dumb. I don't care. By the way, please take a drink every time I say this movie's stupid, but I don't care. You'll get really hammered, trust me. So what does Tomb Raider have to offer? Well, it's an early 2000s action film featuring things like this. Flipping on wires. Angelina Jolie's thighs. More flipping on wires. And a scene that actually takes place on wires. And Daniel Craig's American accent.
Lara, no! The place is coming down! This is insane!
Oh, and there's more. Trust me, there's so much more. The opening scene of this movie is so fucking awesome. Angelina Jolie is fighting with this robot. And just watch this moment. Just watch it. And tell me it's not the coolest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. I mean, did you not just cry? Oh, I love this fucking movie so much. One thing you'll notice early on, this movie has a ton of drum and bass music. It was super popular in the late 90s to early 2000s, and they really utilized it in this film. Now, I was 13 when this movie came out, and as you know, I respect women. I respect women a lot. I married a wonderful woman, but this scene is just... it's just a little too much. Especially at age 13, it was just a little too much for little Chris to handle. Little Chris had some fun. Little Chris liked that scene. Big Chris likes it too. So what's the plot of Lara Croft Tomb Raider? Well, the Illuminati are after some artifacts that when you combine them, it creates like this time-bending portal that lets you go back in time and alter things, but only when the planetary alignment occurs, because, you know, who really gives a shit? There's a backstory with Lara Croft's father, played by Jon Voight, who just so happens to be her real-life father, and that gave her character some weight. And I gotta say this, you know, they really actually tried. They really did try with this movie. This wasn't just a quick cash grab. You can tell they're actually trying to make a fun movie. And there's a scene early on in this movie where Lara's butler says this line.
Egypt again. It's nothing but pyramids and sand.
I know. Gets everywhere. In the cracks.
And it got me thinking, this movie came out in 2001. They made a joke about sand getting in all the cracks, and it was like a sort of sexual innuendo. This movie came out a year before another film that made a very similar remark.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Did George Lucas see Tomb Raider and decide to write a sexual innuendo about sand? I can't help but love the feel of this movie. It's like what if Indiana Jones was a woman? And you know, it's actually better than National Treasure, and it came out before National Treasure. So yeah, it's like those two films that both kind of ripped the Indiana Jones old classic serial adventure style. Personally, I feel Lara Croft's a better film. It's more fun. National Treasure maybe has better production values, perhaps, and maybe is a more coherent film, but I personally have way more fun watching this movie than I have watching National Treasure. That's the honest truth. So Laura finds a clock in this hidden room that just starts ticking for no reason. This whole mystery surrounding this clock starts, and it's kind of fun, and I just love it. And that sounds like a great Goosebumps title, Mystery of the Clock, starring Lara Croft. And Lara pulls no punches while driving in traffic. I mean, she's doing like a full-on Matrix Reloaded in normal everyday traffic. She's not being chased by anybody. She really doesn't like waiting, you know? And she probably has like a get out of jail free card with all the cops. So here's where we're introduced to Daniel Craig. Yes, Daniel Craig was in this movie before he got huge. It's kind of cool when you rewatch it because you have Tomb Raider and James Bond teaming up in the same movie. But what's unfortunate is that everyone in this movie has a British accent, and some of these people are not British. For whatever reason, they gave the one guy who's definitely British an American accent. And wow, it doesn't work.
Come on, guys! Come on, guys! Come on, Paul! Paul, it's coming!
Is Daniel Craig, please just stick with the British. So Powell in this film is like the main villain. He's this villain, you know? It's like he's just a bad guy. They wrote him down like Powell, AKA bad guy. He's just like the cliched, like, oh yes, I will be all powerful. He's just, you know, he's that villain who's just so poorly written and just kind of like a throwaway villain. But his assistant, Mr. Pims, reminds me of Wes Anderson. My friend brought it up. He was like, that looks like Wes Anderson. And I was just like, oh my God. Now I can't not see Wes Anderson. In between takes, he was just building little miniatures to film. So what does Lara Croft do in her spare time? Well, she bungee jumps inside of her house. I mean, this is obviously just a scene, you know, to just show us her ballet. There's no one coming to attack her house that would set up an awesome bungee cord action scene. Yeah, there is. To be honest, I actually really like this scene. Like, actually, like from a critical like viewpoint of how it's filmed. Like, it's stupid and dumb and fun, but like just looking at how it's filmed and edited, this is a really good action scene. And of course, in the post-Matrix world of 2001, they had to have her do a wall running scene. I mean, it's over the top in every single way, and it's all the better for it. I mean, what other movie has this? And when she gets on her motorcycle, it's just so beautiful. And this brings me to one of my favorite moments in the entire movie, and describing it would not do it justice. You just have to see it. Perfection. So what does Powell do in his spare time? Well, I mean, he meditates. What else would you do if you were a bad guy? So Lara gets a cryptic message sent by her dead father that sets her on more of an adventure, and we get to see her in the jungle running around. And to anyone else, this would not be cool. But to anyone who played the games, just seeing Lara Croft running around in a jungle-like environment is just so cool. So every main character in the movie, the bad guy, Daniel Craig, and Angelina Jolie, converge on our first tomb that needs raiding. And during this scene, the world's longest 1 minute happens, where Daniel Craig is just counting down this minute, and I think it's actually more like maybe 2 minutes? He's like 45, 44, 2 minutes later, 40, 39. And Laura, you just go ahead and ride that thing. I don't know what it is, but man, can she ride it. Now, while they're trying to solve this riddle with these different pieces that have to fit together in all these right spots, they bring to life these stone creatures that just pop out of the walls and grab swords, and a giant statue of the god Vishnu that comes alive and smiles. That's very important. It smiles. The funny thing about this is that they're all just like, oh, that's normal. But it's all fine because we get to see Lara Croft do this. This movie is so fucking awesome. Thank you, everyone who made this movie. So after this sequence ends, Lara visits some sort of strange temple where she gets healed by like magic tea. And it just reminded me of the opening of Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Now, my biggest issue with this movie, real problem, not just like it's stupid and dumb, is characters, I don't know how they get places. Scenes just start with characters together. They just knew where everyone was and they just all converge. Like, it happens a lot where they just know everything and where everyone's gonna be and they just pile up in a room all of a sudden. We're like, how did you find out that person would... You're magical. You're a magical person, aren't you? How do you do that? And somehow they all converge, as I said, and travel to Siberia. But it's okay because look at this money shot. Just look at how much awesomeness is crammed into one shot. Just look at it. So here Lara gets cryptic advice from a young girl who disappears. This is the second time this has happened in the movie. I didn't mention it earlier, but there's like a girl in the jungle who like leads her somewhere. It's like a thing in this movie. She gets weird advice from young ghostly girls. There's no explanation. It just happens. So we get to the big finale location where they discover a big model of the solar system. Which leads to a time-bending showdown with Powell and Croft, which is filled with just tons of awesomeness, and a hilarious shot of them running up a pyramid together in some sort of strange void. But once Laura talks to her father in this strange time-bending universe and feels better about herself, she comes back into the real world and is able to grab a knife in midair and turn it around to have it fly right back at Powell. And then they have a big fight scene where Lara Croft kicks his ass and does this crazy throat chop move, and you're just like, fucking yes, Lara Croft. On a serious note though, in the next scene, she dog sleds out on her boots. That's on a serious note. It is kind of cool though, when she finds the dogs, she says this. Which is a tribute to any time in the game Laura would find an item and she would go, Does any of this make sense? Do I care? No, because this shot. If this movie wasn't already a perfect guilty pleasure, it ends with a freeze frame. Just so you know, all movies that end with a freeze frame are perfect. Honestly though, late last year, I got a group of my friends together. And these are hardcore, like jaded film lovers. Like they've seen tons of movies. They go to a lot of movies with me. And I sat them down for this movie. And afterwards, they all had to admit this movie's a ton of fun. Pop in Tomb Raider one day and just have fun with it. It's a well-made, dumbass movie. And in my opinion, the best video game adaptation ever made. If you guys want me to, in the future, I'll talk about the sequel, Cradle of Life, and another Hilariocity review. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. I had fun talking about it. I had to. I have a poster of this movie in my basement. My wife and I, on our wedding cake, had artistic renderings of Lara Croft and Indiana Jones sitting on top of our wedding cake. If you've never seen it, give it a watch. It's tons of fun. Guys, thank you so much for watching this. I will have more Hilariocity reviews for you very soon. If you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmannized.